I'm safe. Hi, I am leaning over the edge of my couch because I cannot find a good setup in this entire house. Yeah. So today I am going to talk about sleeping in theatres, a tale of a nap. I think that falling asleep in the theatre is an awful thing that people do. It's terrible. The other week I was at the ballet at the Royal Opera House and Deirdre next to me, it was just too late for it and she was asleep during the entire third act, having told me in the act earlier that I couldn't put my arm on the barrier because it might block someone's view. Alright Deirdre, this isn't my first rodeo. I know how to treat people and be respectful in the theatre. I say that, but we're about to just hear some awful things that I have done in the theatre. I have fallen asleep in not one, not two, but 5 professional West End productions of shows. I know, I'm a bad person. Every time I have a reasonably good excuse for why I fell asleep. Number 1, and this was probably the most epic falling asleep of a person has ever fallen asleep in the theatre before. So I was seeing the Walworth farce at the National and I was on a college trip to the theatre, and that day I'd had a McDonald's for my lunch. The meat in McDonald's, not the chicken but like the beef, doesn't sit too well with me. That day I was sick all over my teacher's brand new Ugg boots that she'd bought the day before on the trip. I don't know how she didn't murder me, but you know, that's a whole other story. But yeah, I was just really unwell. And we went in the evening to go and see the Walworth farce at the National, and literally the show started, the lights went down, my head just, I was sat next to the teacher who I'd been sick on. That's just awful, isn't it? This is going to be an awful video, just be aware. Yeah, so I just leant over to her shoulder and I just slept for the entire show. I woke up in the interval to see what had happened in the show, and then second act started and drifted right back off again, didn't I? I was just really unwell. Oh. That was one time I fell asleep in the theatre, and that was also the first time I fell asleep in the theatre. Now the second time was, again, on a college trip. We went to New York and we went to see The Lion King, and I wasn't massively interested. It's not really my kind of thing. So we went to the theatre. In the daytime, we'd done a workshop with one of the girls from The Lion King, and then we did He Lives in You. We like learnt the dance routine and the song or whatever. Yeah, we went to go and see the show, and I don't know if it was because to go to New York we went to college at midnight, drove from the north of England to London, and then got a plane at like 7 in the morning. And I was really tired. It was my first long haul plane ride. I was with friends. It was like my first time away from home, that was like to a different country. I'd never been to America. I was just so excited, so I didn't sleep on the bus or on the plane. And then the lights went out and it was all dark and cozy, and I wasn't that interested in the show, and I fell asleep again on the boy next to me. I said to him, I'm gonna fall asleep, but wake me up for He Lives in You. So yeah, then I woke up and watched He Lives in You, and then I went back to sleep again. Oh, I'm a bad person. I'm a bad person. They're probably the 2 worst times that I fell asleep. The next 3 aren't that bad. So the next time I fell asleep at the theatre was again on a college trip. Really, I just needed to not go on college trips. I think it's like when I'm with my friends or whatever, and you're staying in like shared accommodation thing with other people, and I just didn't sleep very well, and then, you know, the lights go down. You know, it's nice music to fall asleep to sometimes. So the next time was Les Mis. This was probably like the 8th time I'd seen Les Mis. It was one of my favourite shows ever. I absolutely love it. But Javert started singing Stars, and it just, I don't know, it was like a lullaby. And I was just out for the count until One Day More started. And then there I was, and then I watched for the rest of the show, obviously, and I was loving it. I loved the show. I was just tired. I'm such a bad person. Why am I putting this on the internet? No one's making me do this. I'm not sure why. The next time I fell asleep at the theatre, spam. Yeah, so the next time I fell asleep at the theatre was at Matilda. This was the second time I was going to see the show. I had seen it once before for my 21st birthday, and then it was in my first term at uni. And in my first term at uni, I did not sleep at all, like ever. I was just constantly like spending time with people, spending time in London, getting to know people, and then basically I day seated for Matilda. So we got up at like, I don't know, maybe 6 o'clock. We day seated, and I think that we got the tickets at about 10, and then we just like spent the entire day in central London, that is. Just a long day after walking around with your friends. It's like quite tiring. And it was halfway through the first act, and I only fell asleep for like one song, but I was just like, I wasn't feeling it. Matilda really isn't my favourite show. I don't like it that much. I was very far back, you know. All of these times as well, I've not been in viewing of the cast, so you know, nobody would see me falling asleep other than the people around me. In the circle at the back, The Lion King, I was practically in heaven. I was so far up, so nobody would see me there. At Les Mis, I was at the back of the stalls, like under the overhang as well, so you wouldn't be able to see me there. And at Matilda, I was in the dress circle. No, I was in the upper circle, pretty near the back as well. So, and yeah, I fell asleep. Not much to say there, is there? None of my sleeps were ever long enough to have a dream. It was just like closing down my body for a little bit. And then the last time I fell asleep was again in my first term at university. I went to see Once. Now this was the time that, oh my god, it was just awful. So it was at the end of the second act, and it was the Falling Slowly reprise, and I was just so tired. You know when you're so tired that you're like hitting your face to stay awake? I'm like, wake up. I'm like rubbing my eyes, because my eyes are just like going, you know when your eyes start like rolling around in your head because you're so tired? That's how tired I was. I was on the second row in the stalls, and I put my head down like this, and I had my hand over my eyes, and I was rubbing my eyes, and I fell asleep. And but it was only for like, I just said a minute. It was dozing at best. And after the show, my friend who I was sat next to, she was like, oh my god, were you crying? She was like, I saw you put your head down. And I was like, yes. If she thinks I was crying, then the cast will think I was crying. I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe. I've not fallen asleep in a show in a good 2.5 years, so I think I'm doing pretty well, personally. And I go to the theatre a lot. When I saw Into the Woods a few weeks ago, oh my god, I nearly fell asleep in the second act. You know when it goes all dark? It's just because theatres are dark. And I think as well, because I listen to a lot of like cast soundtracks and stuff in like long car journeys, I'm used to kind of listening to people belt and still being able to fall asleep to it. I think that's probably not a very good thing. I know it's disrespectful, really. And I know I paid money to see all of those shows. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know it's bad. I do know it's bad. I'm aware. But I thought I would share it with you on this Sunday, and I hope that you enjoyed that. And I'm gonna go and get a sperm omelette from my mum. I love omelettes. Thank you very much for watching this video. I really hope that you liked it, and I will see you next time. If you did like it though, please do give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more, then please subscribe, and I will see you next week.